This is the 365 Days of Multi-Level Marketing Journey to Freedom podcast with Batchelor, where Rome shares his daily journey from down and out to total financial freedom in 1 year, along with pro tips, tricks, strategies, and tools to help you join in on the journey. Now, here's Rome with today's Journey to Financial Freedom podcast.
So if there's going to be one podcast to share with your upline, your crossline, your downline, your team, and then reshare it with them and reshare it with them and listen yourself 783 times, today is likely the one. Grab a pen, grab a piece of paper. We're going to teach something very simple, but you're going to want to take a few notes most likely, because this one simple idea, this one simple process, this one simple skill is going to get more for you done and put more long-term income in your pocket than anything else. See, this skill leads to momentum. This skill gets people started. This skill sells product. This skill recruits people. This skill recruits higher quality people. And this skill develops leaders on your team that otherwise may have never committed or developed into leaders, because that's the power of this skill. See, there's 3 activities that you personally, I'm not talking about working with your downline, I'm talking about you personally, that are essential for you personally to do to make money in this profession. Those 3 money-making activities are selling product, limited potential, recruiting team members, huge potential, and promoting events. There's only one of these, though, that achieves everything for you, and that's called promoting events. But hold, I've heard that before, Rome. Not the way you're probably going to hear it today. Promoting events is so vital, because, again, you're going to get your new people at the event to try the product, people that are already in to try more product or different product, and up your team volume, and it will recruit people that otherwise may not have gotten in, and I'll explain in a moment. But the big thing is events instill. See, leadership starts in the heart. Leadership is more than a thought. Leadership is more than mental knowledge. There are a lot of leaders that are not exercising leadership or don't care to. And some care to and don't know how to. But the one thing that can change it all for you is getting those people around the campfire, the heat, the events. Because what the events do is they train leadership, and they train skills for recruiting, and they teach about product and build belief, as well as instill a feeling that this is something great. And it's a feeling that will inspire people to up their commitment at any level. They may not be ready to be a leader, but they may be finally excited enough to go sponsor their first person because you got them to an event. They learn a wording, they learn an idea, a thought, a skill, an approach, but they also are fueled with belief. And see, belief leads to motivation. If their belief level's down, they do nothing, they either quit or they go stagnant. So what you got to do is you got to learn how to raise belief. Now you can sit there and call, let's say you have a team of 900 people and they're all stagnant. What are you going to do? Call 900 people and blow them up like a balloon and keep calling and do a rotation and hope to get your team moving? Or you can promote events out of those 900 people, get 180 of them out to an event, and out of those 180, they're all inspired, they're all re-engaged. But what if 18 of the 180 commit and they start building? It won't take long for 18 committed people to add another 900 people to your downline. So that's how this thing works. And that's how you have to visualize it. See, if you go out there, visualize recruit. Most people put their focus on how to recruit, but that's limited. See, because if you I had a person in my team, in fact, I've had several, but there's one in particular that really illustrates this point. This person was so good at recruiting. They recruited well over 100 people. And they went out there and it's like lighting a stick. Think of the excitement, the energy, the volume of your organization, the momentum of your organization, the fun of your organization, and the income produced by your organization as the fire or the flame. You can go out there and take your little lighter, your little bit of skill, your little bit, or your great biggest skill, and your limited amount of emotional energy that you can light up on somebody else, because we're all one person only. And you can go out there and light a stick or a twig in the woods. And what happens? It sometimes is difficult to light, but eventually, if you're at it and at it and at it, you can light that twig or that stick, right? However, what happens? One of three things tends to happen. The wind blows and the fire goes out. The stick is now not lit. They quit or they change their mind. Rain comes down and it puts it out because adversity comes, right? Things happen. Or the stick catches on fire and burns and burns and burns and burns itself out. And it's temporary success. So what this guy would do is you go out there and light a stick. He'd light it and say, look, I got one lit, I got one lit, I got one lit. And then what he would do is he would get excited. It was like a drug for him. And then he would go put it down and he would go get another one. I got one lit, I got one lit, I got one lit. See, this guy was after the rush and the fuel to his ego that he sponsored somebody. And it's like it was a thing to show off how many people he could sponsor. But what happened to these people is it was temporary heat. It was temporary flame. They'd either burn out or they'd blow out really quick. And so he was a champion at doing that, but all the while, right in the middle of the field was the team campfire. And it was a medium-sized team campfire. See, you can start with a small one, and then it'll become medium, and then it'll get large. When you have a campfire culture, that's the key to this, is having a team campfire culture. When your cross line, your down line, your up line can work together and gather in a local area or even apart with webinars and hangouts and conference calls, you can still gather. See, it's still an event. See, event could be you and your upline meeting for coffee with one prospect. That's the beginning. That's a small event. Or three-way call. That's a small event. It's still an event. It's still the flame of two versus the flame of one, and it's the place you have to start quite often. But then you can build to bigger and bigger events. What do you do from that one is not get them in, get them to the next event, a bigger one, and find out who's willing. Because when you can build a culture of people who are willing to participate with the team campfire, then you can make a 6- and 7-figure income that sustains for generations. Because a little bit of wind doesn't blow out a team campfire. A little bit of rain, a big bonfire doesn't go out. It continues. Does it affect it a little bit? Yes, but it doesn't go out. The big bonfire is the goal. Not how many people you can recruit personally, but the big bonfire. So what we do is we encourage people to go out there, find the sticks, gather the sticks, and bring them as a joint effort to the campfire so it gets bigger. So it gets bigger and burns hotter for everyone to get paid more and more and more. And you know what? The bigger the campfire, the easier it is to get the big giant log and put it in, which will light it up more significantly for everyone. See, you can take a big giant log and light it with a lighter yourself, and it ain't gonna light. But if you put in a team bonfire, big bonfire, that thing is gonna light because there's enough energy, heat, excitement to light it. You can't get the big fish by yourself quite often, right? The person with the most potential to build, the person who has influence, that person's not going to join with a little light. They need some heat. They need to see demonstration. The only way to do it is build a campfire culture. And you know what? If you find and build a big enough campfire culture and a big enough bonfire for everyone to participate in, what happens is you can get a big giant log that's wet and throw it in the bonfire, and that thing eventually has a good chance of lighting. It doesn't always. It depends on how long you keep it there and how long you keep the bonfire going. But eventually, that thing is going to dry out and light. It's going to get excited, man. So even prospects who normally wouldn't join, who normally, I'm not really that interested. They don't think they're interested in an opportunity, but you get them around enough heat, they'll change their mind. So the big skill today, the big lesson is, if you can get people around the team as quickly as possible, even if it's one other person, and then continue to get people around the team and the team and the team and events and events and events, you're going to have higher volume per distributor, bigger paycheck, more recruiting, because prospects can get around the team and join, and people that are in can go and get in motion and finally start sponsoring people and getting customers. And people who are potential leaders, who you don't even know are potential leaders in some cases, will get a commitment. You know why? Because you can't instill a feeling with a few words from your mouth. See, the commitment to become a leader and do this thing at a big, big level comes from information times a feeling. A successful process, rather, times a feeling. You can't instill a feeling with your words alone. A feeling comes from an environment, and that environment comes from events. That environment comes from events. So today, my encouragement to you is build a campfire culture. Work harder at this than anything else. You may have to start with you and one other person. You may have to start with just you and get recruiting down, get your prospecting down, and understand the process of that correctly, and get enough leads source going that you can then recruit until you have one other person that just naturally is excited about it. And now you have a team campfire started, and then you and that person build. If it's necessary, you may have to gut it out, work a little extra hard, for a little longer, and find that first person who will build that unit with you. But if you're fortunate to have an upline, even a cross line, that will do this with you, and then you inspire others to participate, then you can build a big bonfire, and you can get a whole lot more done with a whole lot less work, and get a whole lot more quality people in your organization, and you'll have a much better sustaining volume. Your organization will continue. We mentioned yesterday we're going to share how to get the organization going forward and develop. Everything progressing forward rather than going backwards. How to maintain and build a sustained long-term residual recurring income without your team members always quitting. The key to it is to build a campfire culture and find those who are willing to be involved at that level. Because those that aren't are just temporary volume. Don't focus on people that are great at getting customers, people that are great at recruiting. If they don't involve in the campfire culture, then guess what's going to happen? They're going to be here for a while, and then they're going to be burnt out, dormant, or quit. And so will most likely their people if those people are not exposed. All your focus on, who do you work with? Those that will participate with events and will help promote events. The skill of promoting is something that we can cover more on, but the fact is that that's where your focus is. If you focus on it, you'll get good at it. You need to talk about the people there, what's going to be covered, the fun that's going to happen. It's not only about the information, it's also about the fun, the enjoyment of the day that you want to promote, or the weekend, or whatever the event is. But build